Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are in fact that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. Oh, you're going to love today's guest. I've got the Marc J. He's already actually slaying it on LinkedIn. This guy, if he hasn't done it, it's not worth knowing. He's gone from being an entrepreneur, losing it all, coming back. This guy is also in the physical arena, and now, thank the Lord for everything, he's now an inspirational speaker and sharing it with us. So I'd like to give a warm Genie welcome to Marc. How are you doing, Marc?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. As somebody, I've been sort of meaning to get to you, so it's really, really good that you've been able to make some time to talk to us here.
Oh, my pleasure completely. My pleasure completely.
So I've given a little brief summary of you. So I just wonder if you can tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, it all began very, very early on as a kid. Hairdressing was my thing, even from a child. Cutting all my little sister's hair off. Dad wasn't at all pleased. As I grew up and got into bigger school, standing up in class and mentioning to the teacher when they turn around and say, and Jay, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, oh, a hairdresser, sir. And there was all boos. So I got badly bullied at school, very badly bullied. And it took a lot to come back from that. But I got it all together, a bit of self-belief, motivation, inspiration. And I got involved. And then along that journey that has been 40 years plus, the facelift is looking okay. There's been a lot of stations that I've pulled in at along the way, and that make interesting conversation. In my head, I'm on my 3rd book already in my head. So listen, I look to you for help and advice on that, sir.
To be honest, I think the world as a duty to, you have a duty to the world to give this wonderful knowledge to you and to us. And I know from speaking off camera that you've really done things which most people, they wouldn't believe. Tell us a little bit about sort of some of the physical journey you've gone through.
Yeah, the combination of stuff from when I got badly bullied. I took up martial arts. I tried boxing and judo and still kept coming home with a bloody nose, and it wasn't a thing for me. And way back then, you may remember there was a thing on TV with David Carradine, Kung Fu. And the guy used to wear the 2 ping pong balls in his, well, that's when people took the mickey. And grasshopper, first you might, and I had a very, very, an amazing sensei, for those listening, martial arts instructor, that became almost like another parent, like he adopted me in a way. And I spent 20 years with Bobby Lyon, and he was just amazing. And I always remember, as one of my inspirational people that I've got, there's several, but he said, all the kids lined up at the beginning, and he went along, and he said, why you wanna do Kung Fu, and why you wanna do that? And then he'd clap this kid round, and he'd picking his nose, and why you wanna do Kung Fu? And he said to me, why do you want to do Kung Fu? And I said, well, I get bullied. I want to learn how to defend myself and hurt people. And he went, Marc, first, it is easy to hurt people. You must learn how to heal people. And as a kid, that went straight over my head. But obviously, as the years went on and, you grow and mature, when that saying of, it's easy to hurt people, you've got to learn how to heal people. And now I sit here talking to you, I get goosebumps even when I say it. You know, at my age, I say that sentence, it takes me back, and I'll get the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, because I haven't got any on the top of my head. So hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and it still gives me the goosebumps.
And you know, I can really feel that, and it's actually a very deep comment, and I hope listeners that they can sort of resonate with that. And no, that really is a fantastic piece of advice. So what I'm going to move on to, what would you think is your sort of your aha moment that released the genie moment? What do you think that was?
I think really I've got to fast forward to March of this year, because of all the things that have happened in my journey and the people that I've met, including Tony Robbins. We'll talk about that later if we get a chance. Where we got to lockdown, I'd sat wondering how I can keep in contact with, I'd met so many people. And I knew of LinkedIn, but I was an Instagrammer. And so I went and I did some live Instagram and said, hey guys, let's talk about hair. Let's do this while we're all locked in our houses. And then the hair went into sort of health and fitness, because I used to be involved in a lot of health and fitness. And then one of my clients stroke friends said to me, oh, do some motivation as well, because you're good at that. And that turned into a motivational show on Instagram. And I just sat there and I just sat there and thought to myself, hold on a minute, let me just talk to myself almost, you know. And I was here and I was here and I was talking to myself, and I thought, wait a minute, this goes right back to my uncle, who was like a second dad. He was my first inspiration, and my sensei, Bobby Lai, and the guy I worked with at Harrods, Harold Layton. He was a genius in the head. He just kept banging at me, so never give up, never give up. Every single day I went to work, never give up. Don't matter what anybody says, never give up. And Tony Robbins, who I met, and you know, that 30 seconds, I think it was, I don't know, that I bundled through the crowd after Tony Robbins had done his thing on stage, and everybody's going, Tony, Tony. And I managed to get to the front, and all of a sudden, you know, he had security and there's all these people, and I said, I just want to get an autograph. And I got there, and all of a sudden I couldn't hear anything. You know, there's all these hundreds and hundreds of people, and it all went for like, you know, when you come out of a disco. And, you know, this monster of nearly 7 foot looked down at me and went, what do you do? And I said, I cut women's hair. And he went, do they like it? And I said, yeah. He said, do they come back? And I said, yeah, you know, 4 words. And he went, you had something. And that, combined with my uncle and my sensei, and I met Arnie, which I'll tell you about as well another time, but I met Arnold Schwarzenegger on Muscle Beach, and that's how I got into bodybuilding. These people, it all came together in like a rush, and I'm sitting there thinking, what do I talk about now on Instagram? And it was like the pieces of jigsaw of my life fell from the ceiling, landed on the table, and like a sci-fi movie, all went into position and went like that. And I thought, I'm meant to help people. I'm just meant to get out there and help people. And here we are.
That, to be honest, is one of the best release the genie moments I've come across. It's such a wonderful collage of all the pieces. A lot of people say, you know, pieces are falling apart, but actually your pieces fell together instead. Yeah. So that's wonderful. Have you got a sort of an inspirational quote or a mantra which you can share with the listeners?
So many. It's being what my sensei said. Always rings in my ears a lot. Because of what's going on at the moment with the mental health situation. Of course, now it's very paramount. You know, it's easy to hurt people. We've got to heal. So there's a lot of healing to be done. So that really sticks in in my mind, in my forefront, that it's easy to hurt people. First, you've got to learn how to heal people, and that is in so many categories. I don't even think of it as in the martial arts anymore. I think of it in the now that we're in, you know, about healing people. I did a post actually yesterday. I can't remember, but Einstein said nothing moves. Nothing happens until it moves. And I read that when I think I was about 14, and it really stayed in my head. Nothing happens till it moves. And I thought, well, no, it doesn't. But he's right, because that is nothing happens until or you move it, or it moves. And so many people get stuck in a rut, and they go, you know, yeah, well, it's not going to happen until you move, until you do something, until you take action, until you make a decision, take a chance, and then it goes on. So I'm not going to bore your viewers with my list of because I've got a list.
Well, those two, I mean, to be honest, they resonate with me, and I can feel the energy which it generates, and we can all see how alive it makes you feel. So, I mean, we know when you see authentic stuff like that it really does touch you deep. So thank you very much for that. Now it sort of brings me to my next thing of, what are you working on at the moment? I'm dying to know.
I'm in the process of getting a podcast together, because there's lots of fantastic interviewers and already famous podcast people that I would really appreciate and adore to come on my own podcast show. So working on that. We're going to stick with the name, Your Say with Marc J. Come on and have your say with Marc J. And I've met a lot of people since I've been on LinkedIn over the last 6 months. I've met some absolutely incredible people that have become like family, a bit like yourself and the lovely Rob Sharkey and Big Bill. Some really, really wonderful people, and I can't wait. So that I'm working on. Every time I mention book, because I have lots of clients that I'm still in touch with, they go, oh, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? And I can't write to save my life. It's in here and it comes out here, but I'm still in touch with my South London roots. And my partner very often says, when I say something, she says, oh, is that the South London dictionary or is that the Oxford dictionary? I go, oh, it's the South London dictionary, love. So yeah, so as long as I've got her by my side, I'll be okay. So there's lots of scribbles going down where that's concerned, because I'll have to change the names of a lot of things, but when we do get
innocent.
yeah, we go from everything from celebrity people to a lady whose hair I did for her wedding. Then a few years down the line, she asked me her husband was very rich, I'll mention no names, and she said, I think my husband's having an affair with his PA. I'm booking her in for a hairdo. I want you to question her. And I went, oh, God, no. But yes, he was. And so he divorced the wife and married the PA. And then 5 years later, the PA, who's now the wife, comes to me and she says, I think he's having an affair with his PA like he did with me. I'm going to book her in for a hairdo. And I thought, you can't write this. This is really happening in my life. You can't write this. So that'll be a chapter on its own. And that's got pages and pages. So,
I'm already looking forward to the read. So, it's, if you can come up with stories like that, it's going to be very amusing, and secondly, very insightful. So no, I love it, and that's great stuff and great ambitions. It's really important this age, because everyone's talking about the losses and things, but you're going the other way, which is really refreshing. So yeah, no, hands up. I tip my hat to you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
now we get to the real fun part of the program where I
Yeah.
get to ask my wonderful genie 3 wishes. So are you ready there?
Yes.
Okay. First wish. Here we go. What was the best advice you have ever received?
It's got to be from my hairdressing guru, Harold Layton. It's got to be that. Um, when I used to go to work, I used to have to get 2 buses, a train and 2 buses, and get to Harrods. And we used to have to be there for 8 a.m. in the morning. So I used to leave at some stupid o'clock time. And I was just a hairdressing apprentice. But I'd get into work and I'd go, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, he'd go, never give up, no matter what anybody says. And that'd be the first thing that'd come out of his mouth. And then we'd work. And it'd come up through the day. Oh, I can't. Never give up. Don't matter what anybody else says. And so that was almost tattooed on my brain to start with. And then it became advice. And as I went on in my life, I used to think, oh, the times that Harold's had a mouthful of cheese sandwich and drinking a cold coffee in between clients in a busy salon. He got,
Never give up.
never give up. And it was tattooed on my brain. And so when I've hit hurdles, come up against the wall, my way through the wall is just to hear Harold saying, never give up, boy. And he used to call me boy, never give up, boy. So I think the best advice that I would give anybody in any situation is never give up, because everything's achievable. Everything is achievable.
That's wonderful. And it's appropriate to the type of climate we're living in at the moment to actually not give up, because it's so easy. The easy route is to quit effectively.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you for that. It moves me to my second wish, which would be, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Ooh, what advice? Try everything once and never have any regrets.
That's wonderful. I mean, that's a big statement, and I think a lot of people are going to resonate with that. And no regrets is a really good winner on that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm getting great value from my wishes, which moves me to my last wish, which is, can you share one attribute or habit that attributes to your success?
Not afraid to talk.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's to be honest, some things need to be vocalized, and the minority tend to make the most noise, but the majority need to speak up.
Excellent. It became apparent, just for the viewers, a little funny story. I got asked to do some live TV, and doing hair on live TV normally is a no-no, because no matter how good and how confident you are, if you want the hair to do something and it doesn't do it, and it's live, recorded, it's a different story. You go again. But if it's live, and I was doing this blow dry, and I promised the 4.5 million viewers that this young woman's hair was going to stick up in a 30-second blow dry. And the producer, I told her that, she said, what's the finale going to be? And I told her, she said, well, I'm really excited about that. She said, but we got 59 minutes to fill. Do you think you're going to be able to talk for 59 minutes? And my assistant spilt her coffee by spitting it out and laughing. She went, oh, you obviously don't know this guy. So, and we had to talk about 4 products. And sadly, I only got to 2 of them because we ran out of time. So, yeah, I think talking, it's got to be my thing.
To be honest, and I think it's a very good thing, and it certainly is your brand. So I love that. Have you got a book which you have looked at or you admire, which you could share with the listeners?
I I'm a massive Tony Robbins fan, and Unleash. But a very good friend of mine that I won't mention put me on to Napoleon Hill. And I'm not quite finished yet. I'm doing the audio version, and it's narrated by a guy that sounds like, and I'm sorry, any Americans watching this might not know, Chumley Warner was a black and white. You're laughing because you're a Brit. But he was someone that came along after the war that used to talk like this. And I'm sorry about the grandfather clock in the background, everybody.
Well, to be honest, it kind of suits the
what I'm
character
saying,
you're
yeah.
talking about.
So the guy that's narrating it is, and Hill would actually mention this more than once. And it sounds like someone just after post-war. And he's got this super voice, so you really hear every single word that he says, because he speaks absolutely perfect. And editor's note, and he does this, and it's really brilliant. And I'm rewinding it and listening to certain bits of it again because of the way he speaks. But no, that's a cracking read. It really, really is. And there's so much content in there. And then next down the line would be Jim Rohn, who was obviously Tony's guru. And he has a lot of very, I don't know what to call them really. They're quotes, but they're also a bit anecdoty as well, because some of them are funny, but they are so true to life. So, yeah.
Both of those, I mean, they're great books, and thank you ever so much for the recommendation. So we got now to sadly to the end of the show, because I know that we could carry on talking like this. But
yes, definitely.
But the thing is that if you want to talk to Marc yourself, where can we find you? Where do you hang out?
Okay, I'm on LinkedIn all the time under Marc J. That's easy to find. Instagram, yoursaywithmarcj. And my email is yoursaywithmarcj, outlook.com. So they're all the same. So I'm there all the time, and I'm one of these people that I respond immediately, even if I'm in the middle of eating food or drinking or whatever. I will get back to people that hook up and say hi. Even if it's a hi back, I'm busy, but I will get back to you straight away.
Awesome. Well, look, Marc, thank you very much for being the Genie today.
My
I
pleasure.
hope you had a good time.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
And it's been an absolute, and I know everyone's going to really want to get more of you and your story. There's loads of little avenues we could go down. But for now, I'd like to say a very big thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Genie,
thank you very much.
Marc J.
Thank you.
And for everyone, make sure you go and you release your Genie. See you on next time.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your Genie. Thanks for listening.